Let's figure it out.
Pulling it now.
3 in a car, 1 in a truck.
Valuable and adding value for your clients.
Welcome to Foxy TV episode 43. We're on the home stretch to the end of the year, the festive season, the fun time of the year. But don't switch off yet. This episode is going to be a very informative one. Perhaps a little less on the entertaining side, but definitely informative, particularly if you're running a home staging business or are interested in running a home staging business. My name is Cody and I'm going to be your narrator for this week's episode. Let's get started. Monday morning started off with the team meeting and then hang on, I'll let Jake tell you.
What's on today, Jake? 3 decent sized installs, and then depending on how we go, we're going to try and squeeze in another pack up later in the afternoon. We've got a reasonably full week, I think 8 or 9 installs, so the more packets we can get done, the more stock we have available. 3
installs, a massive day for the team, out and about. Let's cue some nice music and have a look at some of the after photos. Tuesday the team had another big day. I think it was 2 installs and a pack up. I didn't get out and about and get any footage. I was stuck here in the office, in the warehouse. So let's fast forward to Wednesday. Wednesday morning and I'm just on the way to Carindale to an install. The truck is already there and I think Candy and Janessa are already there. It's a partial. So let's go have a look. And before we head back to the warehouse to get into the crux of the episode, let's have a look at some of the after photos. Great job, team. Okay, we're back at the warehouse where we're going to finish this week's episode and get some insight into how much we charge, how much does Foxy Home Staging charge for our services. I think we're going to have to change locations. We're going to kick things off with a question from Instagram from Jane and Shane. I believe the staging company is called Beautiful Living NZ. We met them down at the symposium in Sydney earlier in the year. This is them here. So thanks for the question. They asked, how many times does a large furniture item need to be used to pay for itself? Here's Jane and Phoebe's answer.
So that's kind of the basis of our pricing, was to, at the very, very start, we went back to figure out how much we could spend on any furniture item that we hire and divide it out by how many installs it takes to pay it back. So we had to come up with a number that we were happy with, that was a reasonable amount of installs. So what's it sitting
Well, I think it's an important question for anybody who wants to buy their stock. Like, this is, you should know. If you're buying your own stock, this is a number that you need to know. And I know we've spoken to some other stylists out there who don't know, and the problem then is you go and pay crazy amounts of money for something not on sale or wholesale price.
And that's what it does. It gives me limits on what I'm allowed to spend. So I know that I don't spend any more than $500 on a coffee table, $150 on a bedside table, $150 on a dining chair. So I've got limits and if something is an amazing price, I know I have to go and buy it and make room in the budget to get it. So
it's also about efficiency. Like when you're building a small business, every dollar gets pulled in 5 different directions. And everything, you go and buy a dining table, that's money that you can't buy a coffee table or a bedside or potentially hire a new person, or like there's a whole heap of things that you could do with your money. So if you're overspending on some bits of furniture, it's money that can't go into building up your stock elsewhere.
Yeah.
So you have to be smart about all of it. So in terms of the number for us, it's sitting at around 3. 3 installs will pay off
so far,
the vast majority of our stock. Some is as good as 2 to 2.5 times, depending on the kind of deals that we can get.
Yeah.
But in terms of the limits that you've set for each kind of category or type of stock furniture, 3 I think is the limit where we set that.
And that sort of is how we've built your quoting tool. So.
Yep. Okay, now onto the main question, how much do we charge? Jake and Phoebe definitely answered the question and give some great examples. But they also talk at length at how and why they charge what they do, and also a bit more on the pricing in the industry as a whole. So if you've ever wondered why and how we arrive at our pricing, you'll find the answers here. Enjoy.
Basically, there are a lot of options as far as quoting goes, CRM and all that sort of thing, but Jake's built an Excel document that I use and I've always used to do my quoting.
Yep.
And at the moment, we still quote on a per item, a piece of furniture. You don't really like that. You'd rather do
within
a package
reason. I think
basically.
it's all averaged out.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we quote per. So basically, I'll go in and we've got a standard double bedroom, we've got a standard queen room, and basically I know what's going to go into those rooms. A double bedroom has a double bed ensemble, 2 bedside tables, 2 lamps, the linen pack, scatter cushions, all that sort of thing. Some have a floor rug. They've all got a piece of artwork. So we'll quote up that space and then add in living spaces. If the client's living it, then we take out individual items. So it's all built on per item base, all built up from how many installs it's going to take to pay it off.
Yep.
So we work on averages. So basically,
We should also say, you were about to go into averages, but when we set our limit on like 2.5 or 3 times before a piece of furniture is paid off or pays itself back, there's exceptions. There's always exceptions. There's some pieces of high-end furniture that we need for certain jobs. There's something that's close, but we need it because our higher options don't have a particular table in stock. There's always exceptions, but it's important to
there's
set.
exceptions on the other end in that we have great relationships with some clearance centres and warehouses that need their stock gone. And for example, today I got a full price would have been $850. I bought one on a sale price at $500, and today I got another one on clearance for $150. So it's about
Coffee table.
coffee table. Yeah, that's
Didn't
important.
say all
Just making those relationships. So it's obviously that one's going to be paid off in less than one install. So it's about averaging it out across the board.
Yep.
But as far as our pricing, we work on basically a bedroom for us is around the $450 mark. Obviously a single bedroom's a little bit less. Then the living space is around $900 mark. So we do have one package that we've packaged up, and literally the reason we do it at the price we do it is because we can pump them out, and it's more about volume. So for a small unit or a townhouse, we have a styling pack at $2,200. All of our pricing includes GST when we're talking to a client, because it was something I hated when I was new to the industry, that everybody excluded GST. So we always discuss inclusive. Everything's a standard hire for us as a 6-week package. So $2,200 inclusive of GST at 6 weeks. So literally we can pump 3 or 4 of those out in a day, and that pricing is all set on volume for us.
So that's the only kind of package fixed price that we put out. We know, and we might get into it in a minute, but we know roughly what the different price points are for different size houses, but that's the one package that we've put out from a pricing point of view.
Some will come in, if I was to quote them up, some would come over, some would come under. So it's a good midpoint that I'm happy for agents to be able to go out, and when they're quoting up for them to be able to do it in their proposal, it just makes it easy for them. They ring us, they book it in, we go see it the day before we install, and it's easier. Yep. So it's about convenience and volume. And
speed.
Yeah. Because most of those ones, they'll have like a 2-day turnaround, if that, for those from when we get first contacted. We're moving up from there. Just over the last 2 years, I figured at the start, I never used to give any sort of indication on price. I was too worried that people might hang on what I say too much, and that's why I've even got on silent. Oh, Russ started puffy money. Take turns eating donuts.
Russ is throwing donuts, trying to turn his camera around. Oh, I got one, and I'm now a rabbit. What the? Screenshot. Where were we?
We were talking about, so basically townhouse packages, so $2,200.
Yep.
So then over the last 2 years, I'd said that I didn't like giving an indication of price, but I've become a bit more confident where our pricing sits. So for a 3-bedroom, 1 living home, we would give it a verbal indication that it'll sit around the $3,500 mark for a 6-week hire inclusive of GST. And then a 5-bedroom home, where you have 5-bedroom, 3 living area, it generally sits around the $5,500. So for a 6-week hire as well. So the thing that I always do mention to a client, they want to give me sort of indication of our price, is living areas is where the cost is, like the bigger furniture spaces. Depending on how big they are, it can really increase their price. If you've got a rumpus room that's oversized and we need to bring in 2 sofas into that room compared to just one with a chase, that really does increase the price by a fair amount. So living spaces is where all the dollars are for a client to spend. So as far as how we got to that point, we decided pretty early on that we wanted to own our own stock to have a bit more control over the pricing that we set. Actually, rewind a bit. The pricing that I also give the client, so that $3,500 for a 3-bedroom home, it includes delivery. So for our delivery, we do a standard delivery fee of $350. That works out to be an hour and a half install and an hour and a half to pack it up. So and that's from our warehouse into the truck, off the truck, back into the truck, back to the warehouse. So it's the full 3.5 hours. We also work in 5 hours of stylist time. And that sort of averages out across the property. So I don't...
Yep, some are faster, some are slower, but...
The only time I ever play around with that is if there's pieces of client stuff that needs to be moved off-site, or if it's we're taking everything out of the home for them to then bring everything in. So I increase the time that our removalists are there for. Otherwise, insurance is included in there as well, and it's just built into all of yours. It sort of works out around 2% mark, and the rest sort of works out that it's the styling service. So we try to focus less on being a furniture hire company and more on a styling service and more as a package as a whole, because we don't want people to come to us just to hire a sofa. We're there to make the people's homes sell faster and to be receivable online. So it's more about the styling service that we create to do that. Where our pricing sits comparatively in Brisbane, so we are sort of on the middle part of the market. So it's if we have 3 quotes come through, we always want to sit in that middle bracket. The reason we can be competitive with our pricing is because we own our stock. We don't have a middleman pricing to have to pass on to our clients, which as a sole trader, it generally is this structure in Brisbane, that if you're a sole trader, you're generally hiring from a furniture hire service, and their prices set your price. So you've got some thoughts on that?
Well, not just price, everything about hiring from somebody else and being entirely reliant on that means the timing is entirely dependent on how quickly they can turn it around, what day they can deliver, on what time of day they can deliver. Things like you mentioned or have mentioned before, if we need to move somebody else's client's furniture in their house, a lot of the delivery companies or a lot of the other hire companies that have their own delivery team, they won't touch other people's stuff.
They cite
just part of
workplace health and safety, which is fair enough, and it's in their conditions. So that puts you in a bit of a tough spot to be able to make a fully encompassed holistic service for your clients.
Yep. And the pricing thing, depending on what point of view you're looking at it. So as a styling company, if you're looking to build a business beyond just a sole trader, which you can do and have a bit of success, if you're trying to build a significant business and you want the flexibility around your service, around we can do quick turnarounds, we can be flexible on some pricing, we can things like extensions, you can talk about it and it's not all set, then you need to own your own stock. I believe anyway that you can't build a significant staging business unless you own some or all of your stock, at least in the long term.
With the end point being to own all of your stock.
Yeah, that's my view.
Yeah.
Like I said, that doesn't mean you can't have a profitable staging business if you don't, but if you want something significant and you want to be able to differentiate yourself and your product and all the stuff you can offer around your service, you need to own your own stock. So that's one point of view. From a stylist point of view, from an agent or a client's point of view, I would, again, based on what I was just saying, if you're a real estate agent and your stylist doesn't own their own stock, I would be questioning. Not to say that they're not. You can't work with a stylist that hires, but I would be questioning what it is about their service that is why they are still the right stylist for you, because there are too many stylists who are hiring from the same one or two companies, particularly in Brisbane. So all the stock is the same, and there's 100 probably.
On any given day, you can flick through realestate.com and look at the new listings. And the thing that I come unstuck with, and the reason that I like having our own stock and having the variability in our stock, is that I can scroll through and you can see in particular you can see which furniture providers they hire from, because you're seeing the same coffee tables, you're seeing the same dining tables all go out on the same day to all the same jobs within the same sort of suburbs in Brisbane. So it's giving that uniqueness to the listing, which I know is a big deal in Sydney, and less of a big deal, although it will become a big deal up here, I feel. But
it's also all of those ones, the same stylist, the same furniture, they're all the same cost roughly.
Yeah.
And it's not because they have different levels of experience or different, better quality stylists. It's because they hire from the same person and they pass on the cost. So the problem, as I see it, if you're an agent and your stylist hires stock almost or entirely or mostly, is that you don't actually know whether they are more experienced or a better quality stylist until you work with them or look at their work in the past.
And there are definitely some that do fit in that category.
And that's the problem. There might be 100 stylists that use a particular hire company. Some of them might have been in business 10 years. Others might have opened yesterday. They charge the same and they use the same furniture, and you don't know any different.
And it's because Business 101, you charge what they charge you plus 30%. To make sure that you're meeting everything.
So that's like I said, that's where we come from. It as an agent, I think it's very important to at least question whether that is the right business model, and whether the stylist who you're using, if they're hiring stock, has the background, the quality, the reputation, the previous work to show that they have the quality there to do a good job. That's how I come. That's my thoughts on it anyway.
Yeah, we. Back to our pricing, less about the industry, but having our stock gives us so much flexibility with our pricing. So if throwing in a free bedroom gets it across the line, we've had linen, there's got pieces of linen that we've had here for over a year, 2 years, and that's all been paid off for a long time, so I can throw in a free bedroom.
And we have the bed sitting there. It doesn't actually cost us anything to...
So over Christmas we're doing some free giveaways, and that's a bit selfish because we don't want our warehouse overflowing. We don't want to pay for ad hoc storage. So we do giveaways, but that gets us in front of agents, but we couldn't do that if we're having to hire everything through a third-party supplier. So it gives us the ability to do more promotions. It gives us the ability to sort of make things work a little easier for some agents and be less steadfast about certain aspects when it comes to pricing, and it just makes us feel, I think, a bit more personable to clients, like we're going out of our way to really help them in some situations, although you think I bend over a little bit too quickly sometimes.
Depends on the situation. Any questions, Cody?
From me?
Yeah.
No.
Anything that we didn't cover?
No, I don't think so.
I think pricing is just one of those, like, to kind of sum it up, it seems like the most important thing for a lot of people. I think of course it's important to understand where you want to sit in the marketplace compared to everybody else, and compared to what you're actually offering as a service, but it's just one of the levers to pull. Obviously it impacts your revenue and bottom line, profit and all that sort of things, but there's other very important things in there, and we've found that we have won more work, not because of our pricing point or our, they push us on price, negotiate down, any of that. We don't negotiate. Our price is our best price, and if we want to reduce it, we'll do it by maybe not styling an extra room, or being flexible in a different way. We found
we don't do I'm going to match and get beaten by, or I'm going to match, or I'm going to do better by 10%, or anything. Our price is if I've given a quote, that's our price. So.
But we'll do it. But like you said a second ago, we will change it by maybe either taking it out to reduce the cost, or we'll throw in something extra, like an extra bedroom, which doesn't actually cost us anything. But the point I was going to make is pricing is important, but I think sometimes it's focused on too much. We've won a lot more work for some of the other things outside of price that we offer. Things like deferred payment, like just because it's hard for people when they're selling a house, there's a lot of expenses up front. So we just, no applications, no filling out forms, we just say, sure, pay us 30 days later. Like, we do little things like that. And we couldn't do that if we didn't own our own stock. But that's just one example of the other things, like next day installs. There's those sort of things have won us more work than being cheaper.
Okay, thanks.
Take a bit enough to work with?
Yep.
These chairs are quite comfortable.
Bit of waffle in there. Yeah, not too bad.
You always waffle.
Oh yeah, let's watch that back and see who was waffling that time. Man.
You did.
No.
You still with us? You made it all the way through to the end. Thanks for watching, and we will see you next week.